Okay folks, it's time for our July garden tour, and this is real life. I did not quickly get a bunch of stuff done before doing this video. This is just where this garden is at on July 3rd in a Zone 3 Northern BC garden. I do have some big plans for stuff I'm going to do today, and I wrangled some childcare to get some bigger projects done, but I'm just going to show it to you now. Anyways, it's about 8 o'clock. Only one kid is up inside, the oldest. I just put the baby back down for a nap. Tells you how early she was up. So he's in charge in there. The other two are sleeping. I'm going to work in the garden, but I'm going to take a few minutes and give you a garden tour first. So this is the first year with this garden, and we fenced out a corner of a cow pasture. I'll show you previous links on how we developed this. I'll link them below. But let's start at the top row. So the top row has a bunch of tester things. I'm trying growing some hot peppers and some tomatoes outside that, if you can find within the weeds, it's okay. They won't necessarily do amazing outside, but I'm gonna try it anyways. Why not? I've got calendula and cilantro in here. There's actually nothing planted right there. And then I just planted these spaghetti squash starts and cucumber starts. The highway noise is very loud this morning. Various cucumber starts and such. These are ones I just planted a few days ago. And then I actually planted some different short season melons here that may not do anything, but I had the seeds and I had the space, so I decided to go for it. I love hay wherever possible to cut down on weeds and for moisture retention. So this is my carrot bed that needs a second round of weeding. The germination was not great in here, but oh well, is what it is. Down at this end, we have leeks all between these flakes of hay. I have leeks. So I planted the first few rows a couple weeks ago, so they're already a good bit bigger. And then these ones here I just planted a few days ago. And I like to plant marigolds and sunflowers and calendula throughout the garden to attract beneficial insects, and marigolds are good for pest control too. So here I have a row of climbing peas that need to be staked, and then you can see this short fencing. Apparently I accidentally planted two varieties of peas in one row. So they have a little short thing because they're just bush peas, but these are climbing peas and they really need some help, and I just haven't got there yet. We're working on it. Oh, there's a start that somehow got forgotten about. Sad thing. My romaine, which I'm so proud of, guys. I love my romaine. There's also a second sowing of romaine in the cracks and empty spaces, which you can see is just starting to come up. And there's a nice thistle. But I just started thinning the romaine for Caesar salad. We love Caesar salad, guys, so much. If I were to pick one lettuce, it would be romaine. Then I have kale. We just picked a whole pile of it, and you can barely tell, for kale chips. Kids love kale chips. And there's also, let's see if I can find some coming up here. There is also some more calendula in here. It's a variety known for its high resin, and the resin in calendula is what is medicinal and so good for your skin and in tea and all that jazz. So this row here is my second sowing of potatoes, because I found I had more potato seed potato, and more space, so I planted more. And then there's a partial row there. That's what I filled. There's two rows within here and one row there. And in there I planted another sowing of peas, so it's my fourth sowing of peas. Up there you saw my first and second, and in here I just planted a fourth sowing of peas. This is just weeds, and I'm going to rototill it in. Although my father-in-law said I maybe need to weed whack it first. But it's just one wide row that's just, yeah, weeds. Oh well. So, among the weeds, we go down here. I started pulling the weeds by hand and just didn't get the whole thing done. So there's nothing here, I just have pulled weeds there. And then I had planted this outrageous red romaine and only one came up, so this whole thing is getting scratched. Maybe I'll try transplanting that one little bit. Down here I have beans, and I have 2 sowings of beans in here. So you can see the big ones, and then I filled in spaces with a second sowing because it hadn't, the germination was really bad. We got a hard frost right as they were coming up. Another project I need to weed. This is cabbage, broccoli, and cauliflower, and it needs to be weeded pretty badly. We just haven't got there yet, but I picked broccoli from it. And look at these heads of broccoli. This is Arcadia, and it is an early variety. I highly recommend it. And it seems to be sending off lots of side shoots too. So that's extra fun. At the end of this brassica row, as I call it, I also have a second succession of slightly younger broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, and Brussels sprouts. Here are my potatoes, which I'm so proud of. Dog, get out of my potatoes. Which I am supposed to rototill in between today, and I'm not the best at straight rows, so we're going to see how well that goes. As in, my potatoes are not very straight, so I may not be able to rototill between all the rows. And then we need to hill them. I have 400 potatoes planted in here between 8 rows. Those potato rows, I have roughly 150 planted up there. Okay, let's try and get out of this jungle. So, this row here took a beating by frost. So, there's some things that survived the frost, and you can tell, and they're nice and big. There's some things that I planted a new round of. There's some things that survived the frost, kind of, and have been regrowing and are very small as a result. But in here is all cucumbers, zucchini, squash. I had melons and they all got killed by the frost. And my hope is that they will then go out into here, and that's why I planted them along this side. I really love landscape cloth for keeping weeds down. I only was able to buy 2 rows of it this year, but next year I hope to buy more. Look at that little zucchini! There's a little cucumber somewhere in here too. I forget where it is though. Anyways, I also filled in holes with tomato plants and marigolds. And the thing about our garden is when we water it, we water the whole dang thing with a fire hose. So we can't just water part of it. So these tomato plants are kind of stunted, and I'm not sure how much they're going to do, but I figured I might as well fill these holes because it's going to get watered anyways, and see if they do anything. So below the potatoes, we have a strawberry row that I just planted this year. So we don't really have any strawberries from it, but that's okay. Next year, I hope we have lots. See the pigs running around over there. And at the end here, I filled in with some tomato plants. Now this row is fun. On the top side, we have corn. And then we have peas, and then we have iceberg lettuce. This is the shady end of the garden. It's the bottom of the forest, and the sun comes up here. So, my goal here is that the corn is going to shade the peas, because peas like some shade. They don't like it too hot. And then the peas are going to shade the iceberg lettuce. I need to get in here and thin some of this lettuce. All of a sudden it has exploded. So, we'll see how that works. So then I still had space down here, and this is where I planted my 3rd succession of broccoli, cauliflower, and cabbage. So this is way more broccoli, cauliflower, and cabbage than we will need, but my sister didn't have any space in her garden because she plants lots of perennial flowers. She didn't have any space in her garden, so I told her that I would plant extra broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, and leeks for her. My potatoes are starting to flower. Oh! I can't wait till they are all flowering. Then also, real life, pigs got out more than once. I've already straightened it out multiple times, and this is what they keep doing. These pigs, we got them early in the year before the pen had grown up into this sort of stuff. Last year, when the pigs went in there, it was like this. So they had so much stuff to work on, and this year it wasn't grown up, so they don't really have anything to dig in, and they're bored. So next year we decided we're not going to use this pig pen, and we're going to do something else and let this rest, and maybe even pick rocks and plant garden in here, because the soil is amazing in here. Amazing. So we actually have a 6th pig, and he is in solitary confinement. He's not doing well, and we don't know why. But we've been trying to figure it out, and so for now he's getting some extra attention. Good thing about lots of weeds is pigs get to enjoy them. Are you out here to help me in the garden?
Yeah. I found puffball.
You found a puffball mushroom?
Yeah.
And why'd you rip it open?
The little pieces be good.
And how do you know if it's good? Or do you know if it's bad?
No, it's good.
But what would it look like if it was bad?
Good mushrooms look like this.
Okay, and bad mushrooms, bad puffballs, look like what?
Like,
they have a brown spot in the middle?
Yeah. But this is good one.
So today my goals in this garden are that I am maybe weeding in the brassicas, although I should have brought a glove. I have a cut on a finger that I'm trying to protect. And rototill between the potatoes. So I'm actually gonna get the rototiller going. I need to pump up it. See if we can get that going and see if I can weed some of these brassicas and see how they go. So, hope you enjoyed that little tour. I'm trying to keep you guys posted on what the garden looks like throughout the year. Honestly, sometimes I want to burn it down, but actually it's too green to burn. Sometimes it drives me crazy and it's just something hanging over my head. But then I do things like I get to pick stuff from it. And I think people think because we live on a farm that maybe we've always lived on a farm, and we haven't. Marius has always lived on like a small homestead with gardening and some animals. Growing up, we didn't really have a garden growing up. And my mom does now. As she said, she believed these lies that she couldn't grow stuff, and then one day she decided when she was older to just start growing stuff, and turns out she has a really green thumb. She is very excellent at growing things. She's amazing at growing things, especially fruit trees. She grafts fruit trees. I have the coolest mom. Anyways, this is my first year with a big garden. We owned a house before we moved here, but we had very limited water. So we weren't going to be watering a big garden because we had to pay for water and it was expensive. So we had a small garden and it was so-so. This garden, I don't know, it speaks to me somehow. I love it. I love the soil here. We live in a very fertile valley. The Bulkley Valley has lots of farming. And this is my first year with a big garden. And even if it all died tomorrow, it's still been the most successful garden I've ever had. I really hope it doesn't all die tomorrow, but I'm just saying. I just am really enjoying it this year, and I haven't enjoyed it so much in the past. And my garden helper picked me some breakfast.
No, you pick them.
Might as well while we're out here weeding. Don't have to go back to the house for breakfast.